Picture this for a moment. You land a new job with a salary that makes your previous self jealous. Maybe it is $70,000 or $100,000 or even more. You feel like you have finally figured out the money thing. Life is going to get easier from here. And then something strange happens. A few years pass. The salary goes up a little more. Maybe you get a bonus. And yet somehow, at the end of every month, your bank account looks suspiciously similar to what it looked like before the raise. There is always something eating it. A better apartment, a newer car payment, nicer restaurants because you work hard and you deserve it. By the end of the year, the math should show you getting richer. But you do not feel richer. You just feel busier. If this sounds uncomfortably familiar, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not doing anything wrong. You have simply been running inside a system that was never designed to make you wealthy through your paycheck. And today we are going to talk about exactly why that is. Before we get into it, if you want to understand the money rules that most people never figure out until it is too late, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. We break down personal finance in a way that actually makes sense. Let me tell you about two people who lived in the same era, in the same country, and ended up with completely opposite financial outcomes. The first person was Ronald Red. Ronald was a janitor at a JCPenney store in Vermont. He also pumped gas for a while. He drove a beat-up used car. He wore old clothes that he repaired himself instead of replacing. He was not what anyone would call impressive in terms of income. By most financial standards, Ronald Red was completely unremarkable. When Ronald died in 2014 at the age of 92, he left behind $8 million. He donated most of it to the local library and hospital. The second person was a Wall Street fund manager who, during the same period, earned millions of dollars per year managing other people's money. Multiple degrees, corner office, name on the letterhead. By every visible measure, this person had won the money game. And yet, this same fund manager filed for bankruptcy. Now stop and think about that for a second. A janitor who drove a beaten-up car accumulated $8 million. A highly paid financial professional with every possible advantage went broke. Same country, same economy, same stock market, wildly different outcome. What was the difference? Not intelligence, not luck, not connections. The difference was one thing and one thing only. Ronald Red understood something about money that the fund manager apparently did not, and it starts with understanding what a salary actually is. Here is the truth that nobody tells you when you get your first real job. A salary is not compensation. It is a rental agreement. Your employer is renting your time at whatever rate makes you show up tomorrow. That is the entire arrangement. The company captures the difference between what you produce and what they pay you, and that gap is their profit. The moment you stop showing up, the income stops completely. There is nothing inherently wrong with this arrangement. Billions of people participate in it. But here's the problem with treating a salary as your wealth-building strategy. A salary by itself does not build wealth. It just pays for life. Now here's the part that really messes with people's heads. Most people assume that if they earn more, they will automatically accumulate more. Higher salary, higher savings, right? The data says something completely different. According to a 2025 survey conducted by NerdWallet, 38% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year say they are living paycheck to paycheck, not struggling paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck in the way where they have nothing left at the end of the month despite a significant income. And here is the one that really gets me. A Goldman Sachs report found that 40% of workers earning over $500,000 a year report the same thing. $500,000 a year, paycheck to paycheck. If you needed proof that earning more does not automatically mean accumulating more, there it is. $500,000 per year and nothing in the bank. So what on earth is happening? There are three traps built into salary-based income. Most people fall into all three, without ever naming them. The first trap is lifestyle inflation. And this one is sneaky because it never feels like a trap. It feels like progress. You get a raise, so you move into a nicer apartment because you deserve it and you can now afford it. Then you lease a newer car because reliability matters and you are an adult with a real job. You start eating at nicer restaurants because you work hard and life is short. You upgrade your phone, your wardrobe, your gym membership. None of these decisions feel wrong in isolation, but collectively they do something very specific. They absorb every single dollar of the raise before it can become anything permanent. Studies on financial behavior consistently show that as income rises, savings rates barely move. Think about that. People earn more and the percentage they keep stays almost exactly the same. The lifestyle just expands to fill the available space. You cannot outrun your own spending if you let it follow your income upward. The second trap is tax drag. When you earn a salary, the government takes its cut before you ever see the money. Federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare. Depending on your income and where you live, you might take home 65 to 70 cents of every dollar you earn, sometimes less. Now compare that to how wealthy people earn money. The truly wealthy earn through capital gains, profits from selling investments, through dividends from stocks they own, through rental income from real estate, through business distributions. Long-term capital gains are taxed at 0%, 15%, or 20% depending on income. That is significantly lower than ordinary income tax rates for most earners. Warren Buffett has famously said he pays a lower effective tax rate than his secretary. That is not a bug. That is the design. People who earn through ownership are taxed differently than people who earn through labor. The third trap is time dependency, and this is the most dangerous one. If you stop working, your salary stops. Today, tomorrow, permanently. You are always one injury, one layoff, one health crisis away from your entire income disappearing. Which means if you spend 40 years trading time for money and you never convert that money into anything that generates income on its own, you have built a beautiful treadmill. You can run on it forever, but the moment you stop, it stops too. Now let us talk about the actual difference between income and wealth, because this distinction is everything. Income is a flow. Think of it like water running through a pipe. Every month the pipe delivers water, but if the pipe gets turned off, the water stops immediately. Income from a salary works exactly like that. Wealth is a stock. It is the tank that collects and holds water regardless of whether the pipe is running. And once that tank gets large enough, it starts generating its own supply through investment returns, dividends, and compounding growth. Here's what the Federal Reserve's most comprehensive study of American household finances tells us. The median American household net worth, accumulated over a lifetime of working, is $192,700. Not $1.9 million, not $500,000, $192,000. That is what the average family has to show after decades of earning a salary. The average net worth is much higher, around $1 million, but that number gets pulled up by a small number of extremely wealthy households. The median is the honest number. Half of all Americans retire with less than $192,000. Here's the question that should bother you. Why is it so low? Americans work for 40 or more years. They earn wages their entire lives. And the median outcome is less than 2 years of a decent salary and accumulated wealth. The answer is the three traps we just talked about. Lifestyle inflation ate the raises. Tax drag reduced every dollar before it arrived. And time dependency meant there was nothing generating income independently. So what actually works? What did Ronald Read do that the fund manager did not? He bought assets. Every extra dollar he had, he invested in blue chip stocks. He never sold. He never tried to time the market. He never day traded. He just bought and held the stocks of major American companies and let them compound for decades. That is the entire strategy. The wealthy do not earn their way to wealth. They own their way to wealth. They own stocks. They own real estate. They own businesses. And those things generate income, appreciate in value, and compound over time, completely independent of whether the owner shows up to work tomorrow. Here is the formula that changes everything. Earn a salary. Use as little of that salary as necessary to fund your actual life. Convert the rest into income-producing assets as fast as possible. Let those assets compound over years and decades until the income they generate equals or exceeds what your job pays you. That is the exit from the salary trap. It is not glamorous. It does not require a special background or a finance degree. Ronald Read did not have a finance degree. He had patience and the discipline to never spend what he did not have to spend. The system was never designed to make you wealthy through your paycheck, but it absolutely can make you wealthy if you use your paycheck to buy things that do not need a paycheck to keep growing. Now, you know the difference. The only question is what you do with it.